welcome to Bitzznpeaces' very first webisode. I am your host, Lottabit, and I'm also the blogger at Bitzznpeaces.blogspot.com. Today is July 25th, and it's our very first webisode. Yesterday we filmed our very first radio cast, which was really exciting, so thank you for joining in. Today I have an exciting guest here with me, Miss Tatum Dawson. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Really excited to have you here. Something a little bit different about the webisode is that we will always start with a toast. So, Tatum, for you. And what I will customarily do if I have a guest is I will allow my guest, our co-host, to pick the toast. What shall it be?
Today, this toast will be actually to Robert Townsend, who just recently produced a documentary on black comedy and why we laugh, something that I definitely suggest to you viewers to go and watch. It's on Showtime right now. To Robert Townsend.
This is the Chianti Classical, and we know that it is in champagne flutes. We don't care at all because it tastes good, and these are pretty glasses, and they were our nanos.
They make us look good. Look at this. Nobody's a lush when they're like this.
No, not at all. So,
what are we talking about today?
First things first. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the 24 members that I have, soon to expand. And today we're going to cover a topic that some of us are experiencing, have experienced, have never experienced, whatever the case might be. So if you've got something to say about it, make sure you leave comments. And if you don't, listen up, get a little bit of advice. We are talking about living with a significant other, or shacking up.
Shacking up. Shacking up with the old man.
Or old lady if you're a guy, whatever, either way. I have not shacked up, but I was married, so I have experienced living with a man, obviously. And Tatum is shacking up with a man, which is, you know, if she was shacking up with a woman, that would be fine too, whatever. But today we're going to discuss that. So, Tatum, tell us how you came into your situation of living with your significant other.
Well, I came into the situation because I was going to virtually be homeless or have to go back to my mom and dad's house. It was just a bunch of mess going on, and the immediate fix to the problem was to just pack up a couple of bags and go over there. Which, hindsight, you should plan ahead for these kinds of things. If you're going to live with somebody, it shouldn't be a spur-of-the-moment. Boundaries need to be set. Plans need to be made. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Think about where your stuff is actually going to go. And I'd say in my situation, I was afraid of hurting somebody's feelings by saying no when, in the end, I was the only one who really hurt. Now, now the relationship is struggling because I don't think we were ready.
Mm-hmm. So, when you say the relationship is struggling, what types of things are you running into with your significant other that, when you say struggling, because some people think of struggling as we're fighting all the time, some people are struggling as money is an issue, sex can become an issue, there are a lot of different things that can kind of take place. So when you say that the relationship is now struggling, what do you mean by that specifically?
You know what I actually mean about that, and I should have clarified, is that we're getting to know each other more intimate. This is the Tatum that you like all the time. But the Tatum that I actually am. You know, what I'm like in the morning. I've got several different personalities that my family and friends will tell you about that this man is now meeting. And having to know how to respond to all of these different personalities, I'm sure is very hard for him.
So I am going to ask this question. What advice do you give? I know you just said that kind of being prepared for it and kind of planning ahead and things like that, that's definitely great advice if you're going to be moving in with somebody, if you're going to live with somebody. You have to prepare yourself, I won't say for the worst, but for the unexpected, because that's just kind of what happens. But what advice would you give to two people that are living together, and we're keeping in mind that it's only been about 3 weeks, so you're really in the beginning of it. I did 11 years of hard time.
Well, and it's a temporary situation as well.
Okay. So what kind of things do you think people living together not married per se, because marriage is a whole different ballgame, but living together, what things can they do to make things easier or less of a battle or less of a struggle?
I don't know. I can only speak to my fellow women. And I'd say your life is going to be a lot easier if you just accept that you're the woman of the house. If you just accept there are things that you care about that a man is never going to care about. So complaining and, thinking that they don't care about you because you don't care about cleaning the kitchen right after you've had dinner, doesn't mean they don't care about you.
Yeah,
That's just not a necessity for them. And if you want something like that done, that's a woman thing, just do it. Just do it yourself.
Or you guys can make a plan. Schedules, plans, things written down, agreements, those things can work. It's a tool. It's not always going to be stuck to. We all get that, but at least there's a plan in place.
Well, there's one thing that me and my significant other do that I really appreciate is that we always do the dishes together.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm the washer, he's the rinser.
Awesome.
And setter and waiter. And he'll even say, hey, you want to do the dishes now? And I would love to do the dishes every single day. A couple of times a day, personally. I mean, for him, it's comfortable to do it every other day, every few days. And if I want it done every single day, then I do have to say, hey, you want to do the dishes with me? And the answer is probably going to be yes, but I have to initiate it if I want it done when I want it done.
Okay. Now, this is, we're going to make a sensitive transition because people who live together have sex. They really do. People who don't live together have sex. So, of course they do when they live together. What? Has sex changed? More often? Less often? Is it kind of more predictable?
No, it hasn't really changed. I've been.
You don't have to go into detail.
No, but yeah, there are some issues at first, but the sex life is pretty much the same, I think.
Okay.
But the relationship is still new.
Okay, so it's still kind of like, yeah, I get it.
It's still, I think we both still have some tricks in our bag, so.
That's awesome. Tricks in the bag.
We got tricks in the bag.
I like that so much. Okay, so.
That is the main office.
Yes. That's
And
official
we
business.
said to hold the phone calls.
We did
Tracy, get the phone.
get the phone. That won't happen again.
Mm-mm.
Bet not, anyway.
I'm gonna go upside Tracy's head with this glass.
Upside. Okay, so, living together.
I'm sorry, I made you hire my cousin. I really am.
And we're back. Office business handled. That's kind of things that happen though when you are keeping it real and filming live. We're
keeping
that
it as
is
real as we can for you guys
Yeah,
out there.
keep lying, by the way.
We would really, really appreciate your commentary back on this.
This is my assistant. I didn't fire her this time.
But she will get lashed.
Lashing. Who doesn't like a lashing? Either way you do it, lashings are awesome. Okay, anyway.
Lashings are a good incorporation when you're living with somebody, I think.
We're not talking about lashing today.
What
What we do want to talk about,
punishing.
we do want to talk about,
man's been bad.
no Tatum, we're not. Thank you, though. Another show. What we will talk about, though, is communication. Fair communication when you're living with somebody. Because what happens is this. When you get mad or when the lines are crossing and they're really not, things aren't really working and you're frustrated and he's frustrated, whatever the case might be, sometimes you get unfair and you just cannot do that. You cannot talk about his mama and her bad toe and whatever you feel like saying about his manhood. You can't, it's not fair. You can't do it.
I always try to do things like, oh, you've got poop breath.